Hello and welcome to Cinema Therapy. I'm Jonathan Decker, and I don't have your money. Your money's at Bill's house, and his money's at Susie's house.
And I am Alan Seawright, and do you want me to lasso the moon for you, Mary?
So
I apologize.
oh, I love it.
It was better in our heads.
Mine was still hecka good. Maybe it's not. So look, you had never seen this until we prepped this episode.
Had never seen It's a Wonderful Life. Despite the fact that I cry basically constantly on the show, I am not a particularly sentimental person, and this just sort of reeked of like sentimentality and like just not something that I wanted to be a part of. I've been missing out. This movie is incredible.
Yeah,
it's so good.
I like him. You like every boy. What's wrong with that?
It actually lives up to the hype, which is saying something. So our theme today, it's 2020 when we're filming this, and 2020 has been awful.
Not good.
Yeah. So whether you're watching it in the present or in the future, you're going to remember this was a terrible year. And I just really got thinking about how to find joy during difficult times, how to thrive during hardship and find that peace and joy. And that's really what this story is about, because despite the title, It's a Wonderful Life, it's not a happy movie.
It's a terrible life, and then an attempted suicide.
Yeah, but then at the end, like the last 10 minutes is when it's like, oh, wow, and you really feel, it's basically the Pursuit of Happiness, like 60 years before the Pursuit of Happiness.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and I would like to say, too, just from a filmmaking standpoint, this is a really weird movie. Structurally, it shouldn't work at all. This movie is almost 3/4 first act.
And so you thought the angel was going to be, Clarence was going to be a huge part of the story.
Oh yeah, I assumed from what I'd heard of the story that it was basically a Christmas Carol. A couple minutes of this guy's life or whatever.
I just feel like if I didn't get away, I'd bust.
And it wasn't that at all, because everybody always talks about the Clarence scenes, and it's like 20 minutes of the movie. It's so little.
Yeah, yeah. So for those of you who haven't seen it, we've got George Bailey. The film opens with everyone praying for him, praying for their friend, their father, their husband, because he's in a really bad place. He's in a really hard place. And there's an angel who's sent to convince him not to take his life.
An angel who is a blinky light hovering over a very cheaply made model planet Earth.
Oh, it's like styrofoam, yeah.
That's so great, man.
I watched this with my kids who had never seen it.
40s filmmaking technology. I love it.
And they're like, this is cheesy, Dad. And then by the end, my kids were super wrapped up in it. But so Clarence gets sent down, and they're saying, okay, well, in order to help George Bailey, you have to understand George Bailey's life. It's like Alan says, you think, okay, this is going to be the first act, but it's like an hour and a half of first act. But it's so powerful because you need all that. Yeah. You need to see how this really good person is brought low. So George, I mean, we just see what a decent person he is, but he has dreams. He wants to see the world. He wants to go to college. He wants to be an architect. He wants to get out of this crummy little town, right, that's owned by Potter.
Did you put any real pressure on these people of yours to pay those mortgages?
This miserly old Scrooge type. It's like if Scrooge never came around. That's Potter.
Yeah.
And George Bailey just wants to escape. And he likes Mary. He sees Mary, and he likes her, but he doesn't want to let himself fall for her. Because he wants to get out of town, and they're throwing rocks at the windows and they're making wishes, and that's going to pay off later. We're going to see what happens there.
Hey, that's pretty good.
But so he's going to leave for college, and his dad dies.
Yeah.
George admires what his dad does. He doesn't want it for himself. But now his dad dies. George skips his European vacation that he's going to have before he goes to college to help get things in order. And now Potter is going to try and shut down the savings alone, and this is what happens.
Now, you're right when you say my father was no businessman. I know that. Why he ever started this cheap penny-ante building alone, I'll never know. But neither you nor anybody else can say anything against his character, because his whole life was, why, in the 25 years since he and Uncle Billy started this thing, he never once thought of himself. Isn't that right, Uncle Billy? He didn't save enough money to send Harry to school, let alone me. Well, is it too much to have them work and pay and live and die in a couple of decent rooms and a bath? Anyway, my father didn't think so. People were human beings to him, but to you, a warped, frustrated old man, they're cattle.
Man, it's so funny. Like, this is such sort of golden age Hollywood speechifying.
I'm talking about the building and loan.
And it's not the way humans talk.
You're talking about something you can't get your fingers
on. But man,
on.
Jimmy Stewart just delivers.
Yeah. You feel real emotion with it.
I've said too much. You're the board here. You do what you want with this thing. There's just one thing more, though. This town needs this measly one-horse institution, if only to have some place where people can come without crawling to Potter. Come on.
Well, and so what really speaks to me about the scene is, in order for us to survive, thrive, and be happy during hardship, we have to look out for each other, and we have to stand on principle.
Well, it's a different kind of profit, right? Like the profit that a bank is looking for is monetary profit. The profit that this savings and loan in particular, that the Baileys are looking for, is human profit. Yeah. They're not making a ton of money, but the profit is all of these people have gotten ahead in life. All of these people are happier, healthier, wealthier.
And that's a flourishing society. It's a flourishing family. And it was that, and we talked about in our Little Women episode, the balance between individuality and caring for the group. And that's how we thrive as a society as well. So, and did you notice for a movie produced during the Hays Code, it's a surprisingly spicy courtship.
There's some stuff, like a completely naked girl in the bushes, right?
As I was lumbering down the street.
I think I'll go out and find a girl and do a little passionate necking.
Some
passionate necking. and then Mary's mom, like, calling down, "What are you doing?"
He's making violent love to me, Mother.
Like, I am going to use that a lot for the rest of my life. It's such a great line.
Yeah. He's making... I wonder what context you would use that in. Interesting. We're very open-minded on this show.
Anything with Oscar Isaac.
Oh, my gosh.
Watch our Nativity Story episode. You'll get context for that.
So here's George. Once again, he's got something for himself. He's got a stack of cash that he's worked hard to acquire.
Here, come on, count it, Mary.
Oh, I feel like a bootlegger's wife. Look!
You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna shoot the works.
And he's gonna take Mary on a honeymoon, and they're gonna see the world.
They're finally gonna go out and live part of the dream that he has given up so far.
The prettiest wife.
And we find that Potter has manipulated the situation to cause a run on the savings and loan, and everyone's gonna try and pull their money out at once, which will lead to it collapsing.
Well, and this is the crash of 29, right? Like, this is the beginning of the Great Depression.
Right. So let's see what George does here.
Together, though, we've got to have faith in each other.
But my husband hasn't worked in over a year, and I need money. How am I going to live until
So he's keeping a cool head when nobody else is.
Yeah. I can't keep my kids on faith. I've got to have...
How much do you need?
Hey! I got $2,000.
And this is why Mary is a perfect fit for him.
She is fantastic.
All right, Tom, how much do you need?
$242.
No, Tom, just enough to tide you over until the bank.
Tom the
I'll
punk.
take $242.
He redeems himself.
He does. He does by the end.
That'll close my account.
Your account's still here. That's a loan.
My kids are watching this and like, everybody's got Indiana Jones hats. Like, well, you got it backwards.
The bank opens. What do you need?
Well, I suppose $20.
$20. Now you're
So
talking.
I love
Thanks, yeah, that's fine. All right. Now,
I love that
Thompson, how much
he's
do you want?
sacrificing for his business, for his coworkers, for the people that he serves, and he's also keeping a cool head. Because frankly, cool heads are kind of in short supply right
Yes,
now.
it turns out.
We're also
1750.
But in order for us to be happy during hardship, we have to make sacrifices. We can't have everything that we want. We can't do all the things that we want to do.
Yeah.
Or if we're going to, oftentimes we have to screw over somebody else.
Right.
And I love that George and Mary, they're not going to compromise their integrity to do that. Potter's is screwing everybody else over, but he's not happy.
Right.
Right? And so George makes sacrifices and he keeps a cool head. Any thoughts on that? Anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. Like, in a panicky, terrible situation like that, or like the one you may be living through right now, keeping a cool head and thinking of what you can do to help others is honestly the best way to keep your head cool.
Yeah.
Just step back for a second and go, okay, I'm really scared for me. This is a big problem for me, but what can I do to help other people out? How can I serve other people in this?
It's the law of the harvest, right? You reap what you sow, or it's karma. Like when you serve others and help others, it comes back to you. And that's spoiler alert. That's the theme of the film.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we're really building to.
And a lot of times you get down to your last $2 and it's,
We got $2. We close at 6 o'clock and George remembers, I just got married today. I was supposed to be on my honeymoon and I got wrapped up in this. And he goes back and now he's feeling kind of forlorn because we were going to have this great honeymoon. Instead, we used up all of our money.
Used up all of our money.
To take care of everybody else. She sends him the invite, right? To go back to this old broken down home that nobody's lived in for forever, that they threw rocks at the windows, and I just think this is beautiful what Mary does here. Let's take a look.
Good evening, sir. Entree, monsieur.
This to me is one of the most beautiful and romantic scenes in cinematic history.
Oh, it's so great.
That's your tip. So they're poor, the depression is just hitting. This is not...
Just rain pouring in the house.
They were going to be staying in nice hotels. And I love this. That's going to be our bed. You know, it's the 40s. They haven't done the deed yet. So this is the honeymoon suite. And, again, they can't be too racy because it's the 40s, but there's nice little suggestions
There's great innuendo.
Yeah. And not to be dirty. This is their love. This is their story.
No, there's nothing dirty about it. We'll put up the posters to look, we're on this exotic vacation.
And it's not about the woman set the table and made the meal. It's about they're poor and their dreams are gone now. And she's turning lemonade into lemons. Or lemons into lemonade. Welcome home, Mr. Bailey. She turned lemons into lemonade by taking a crummy situation and turning it into something beautiful. Because all she needs is him. You know?
Yep.
Mary, where did you...
And they kiss the way they kiss in the 40s.
I love you.
Okay, so we've got the cop and the taxi driver, whose names are Bert and Ernie.
Bert and Ernie.
Ernie! Like, is that where that came from?
I'm pretty sure it is. And face mushing. Good old 40s face mushing.
Windows in this old house. This is what I wished for.
Now, to be fair to George Bailey, who wouldn't fall in love with Donna Reed?
Oh, she's stunning.
She's beautiful. And those shots where she's like soft focused, those like schmaltzy golden era Hollywood shots, it's like, oh, I get why they did that now, because of her.
Yeah, because it looks really good on her. But so she says when they were throwing rocks at the windows when they were younger, and he asked what she wished for, and she wouldn't tell him.
Yeah.
This is what I wish for.
This is what I wish for.
I wish for you. Now, I've had times in my marriage where I was donating plasma twice a week because an extra $200 a month made a huge difference in our life.
It made all the difference, yeah.
Yeah, like just, it's so crazy to think that, but between eating and not eating, between paying our bills and not paying our bills, and those were lean, crappy times.
Yep.
And some of my happiest memories were, we have no money, so let's get creative and have some fun or do something romantic, or I'm sure you've had similar...
Come on, I'm a filmmaker. Like, that's every 6 months for us. Those kinds of moments are the ones that live with you for a long time, because there's such a strong range of emotion that you get from that kind of thing, right? Like, when we were first married, we got married in 2008, right before the financial crash, the Great Recession, right? And in 2009, there just wasn't any work. There was no production, there was no editing, there was nothing. And I just couldn't get work. And I went and got a job at Red Robin, slinging burgers. I would drive to the mall.
Yeah.
I would get there 15 minutes early so that I could park in the parking lot and cry.
Yeah.
Then I would walk inside, sling my burgers to poor people who were not tipping, because it was the recession. Nobody was tipping. Nobody had any money. So I would go and I would cry and I would sling burgers, and then I would get back in the car and I would cry, and then I would drive home.
Yeah.
And because it just felt like I was failing at life. I had taken a step 5 years back in time, 5 years back in my career. I wasn't doing what I felt like I was supposed to be doing, and it was just brutal and crushing. But then I would get home, and like we had any number of fancy dates where we would dress up really nice and eat a candlelit dinner in our crappy little apartment. And it was lovely. It was this.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah. And so, yeah, the key that we just talked about then is making the best of difficult situations.
Right.
Right. And turning them into something magical or fun or romantic.
Well, and there's something to be said that, like, I can look back on a lot of those memories, and there's a lot of fondness for some of that stuff, but at the time it's not. No. When you were going to sell plasma, you weren't like, oh boy, I'm going to look back on this with rose-colored glasses. You were like, I'm selling parts of myself.
It's true.
It's rough.
George has had to sacrifice everything that he wanted, at least that he initially wanted. He's traded his dreams. You know, right now he's got Mary, and he's got this house, and he's helping people.
But he's not an architect. He didn't go to college. He hasn't traveled the world.
Yeah. So then Potter lures him in, and...
I want you to manage my affairs, run my properties. George, I'll start you out at $20,000 a year.
$20,000 a year?
You wouldn't mind living in the nicest house in town? Buying your wife a lot of fine clothes, a couple of business trips to New York a year, maybe once in a while Europe. You wouldn't mind that, would you, George?
Would I?
Everything he's ever wanted.
You're not talking to somebody else around here, are you?
And what he wants for
this
his
is
wife.
me. You remember me? George Bailey.
George Bailey. Yeah. George Bailey, whose ship has just come in.
I wonder if it'd be possible for you to give me 24 hours to think it over.
Sure. You go on home and talk about it to your wife.
I'd like to do that.
Yeah, then in the meantime, I'll draw up the papers.
All right, sir.
Okay, he's right. His ship is coming in. This is one shot.
Okay, Mr. Potter.
Stewart's amazing right here. I just shook hands with the devil.
Yep.
All right.
The little look of his disgust on his face.
No,
yeah.
wait
As he
a
rubs
minute.
his hand together like, what?
I don't need 24 hours. I don't have to talk to anybody. I know right now. And the answer's no. Doggone it. You sit around here and you spin your little webs and you think the whole world revolves around you and your money. Well, it doesn't, Mr. Potter. In the whole vast configuration of things, I'd say you were nothing but a scurvy little spider. And that goes for you, too.
That goes for you, too.
I don't even know you. I love that he still keeps the cigar.
It goes for you, too.
I love that instead of... Because you might think on principle he's going to
like throw the cigar down. He's like, no, I'm keeping this.
Yeah.
You gave me that. I'm keeping it.
These are Cubans, man. Like,
heck yeah.
So, I don't know. What does this scene say to you? How does it speak to you?
A whole lot of movie-making tricks are just tricks, and you don't need them. If you've got Lionel Barrymore and Jimmy Stewart going at it, you can just put a camera there, and just go.
Yeah.
And it's awesome.
It's literally 2 angles.
That's it. That's all you've got. It's 3 because he stands up and then you've got that. Right. But there's so little that happens. The other thing is, this is a pet hobby horse of mine. I don't know if I came up with this or if I stole it from somewhere and I just haven't acknowledged it. But in my opinion, great acting comes down to 2 things. It's reactions and transitions, emotional transitions. So obviously, the biggest part of acting is reacting to whoever your scene partner is.
Right.
So you get angry. What is my response to that? The other thing that makes an actor's performance believable and arresting is seeing them transition emotionally from one state to another. Mm-hmm. So Jimmy Stewart transitioning in that moment when he grabs his hand, you can see in his eyes and in his face. And
initially, it's excitement and enthusiasm. Like,
he is thrilled. This is the best thing that's ever happened to him. Grabs the hand, and you can see his face just go, no. And it's not big, obvious like I just did. It's very subtle and small, but you see everything. You see it tick over in his brain, and it's not
the pain,
one
the
thing.
Shame, the disgust.
You get all of it.
Yeah.
You get all of it. Rapid fire. You're seeing 5 or 6 different emotions in 2 seconds.
Even like what he does with his hand. Like, what if my hand's all gross now because I just shook Potter's hand.
It's incredible, and that's what great actors do, is they give you a window into that.
Yeah.
Right.
Why this scene speaks to me is during hardship is when we're most likely to compromise our morals.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
We're going to do a whole episode on that with The Dark Knight because that's the Joker's thesis is...
See, their morals, their code. It's a bad joke. Dropped at the first sign of trouble.
Yep.
And that's kind of we are so prone to dog eat dog, throw each other under the bus when it's kill or be killed. Our survival instinct kicks in. But what we find throughout history more often than not is when you don't compromise who you are. You don't compromise your integrity. You don't compromise, you don't compromise other people and their well-being to suit your own, is when we thrive.
Well, and those are the people that we remember, right? That's why we know about those people in history, is because historically that's rare.
Yeah.
Most people will compromise at least a little bit.
Yeah.
Most people would have taken that job because, man, 20 grand a year.
And one can
3 years.
argue that maybe George should have, not this job per se, but should have made more compromises, because throughout the film, time and time again, he's selfless to a fault.
Yeah, the reason that he is on the bridge ready to jump, when Clarence shows up, is because he's never compromised and taken time for himself.
He's never looked out for himself. He's always looked out for others. He learned that from his father. And so what ends up happening, Potter says to him, you're ruined, you're going to jail.
You once called me a warped, frustrated old man. What are you but a warped, frustrated young man? Miserable little clerk crawling in here on your hands and knees and begging for help.
George says, please give me a loan. Now he's begging Potter. And he offers him his life insurance policy as collateral. And Potter says,
you're worth more dead than alive.
You're worth more dead than alive.
Yeah.
And he takes that to heart.
I'm going to take my own life, and I'm going to let my family cash in on the policy. And here, in the late end of the film, is where Clarence shows up.
AS2, what's that AS2?
Angel, second class.
Basically, Clarence shows George what would have happened, because George wishes he had never been born. And Clarence grants him that wish and shows him how the world would have been different.
Mother.
But I love this line. His mother doesn't know him.
Mother, what do you want?
And Clarence tells him,
each man's life touches so many other lives. When he isn't around, he leaves an awful hole, doesn't he?
Whether or not you believe in God in real life, certainly it serves the story that George believes in God and that there's angels and things, because he prays, I want to live again.
Yeah. And
he's granted his wish. And I love that even though things still suck, he's just glad to be alive,
My mouth's bleeding, Bert!
They're going to arrest me. Isn't it wonderful?
I'm going to jail. Merry Christmas. Reporters, where's Mary?
Oh, gosh.
And here we come, though, to this beautiful thing, which is, here's George, and he's going to go to jail because the money is all, is missing. And here's
and Potter's called the cops on him.
Uncle Billy, everybody in here.
George! Isn't it wonderful? So many friends. Mary did it, George. Mary did it. She told some people you were in trouble, and they scattered all over town collecting money. Didn't ask any questions, just said, George in trouble, and tell me you never saw anything like it.
He's really happy because it was his fault.
Yep. And there's Tom.
Oh, Tom, you did it.
There we are. The line forms on the right.
The line forms on the right. Now, this seems like over the top or unrealistic, but if you've ever been in a situation where people were there to help each other, like disaster cleanup or, feeding the poor, people are genuinely...
People get really excited and happy about it.
Yeah.
It's a very Frank Capra moment, and people sort of denigrate that as like a unrealistic Norman Rockwell kind of thing, but really I think Frank Capra was touching on something that's deep inside most people.
Yeah. And when you give of yourself to help others and they do the same, there really is no greater happiness than that.
Oh, man.
There you are, George. You got the faculty all left out of it. Here's some beautiful play with you.
So I'll just talk about it while it's playing. The last principle is to let others help you. And we talk about the law of the harvest. We talk about karma. When we look out for each other, they look out for us.
From London.
Oh.
Mr. Gower cabled you need cash. Stop. My office instructed to advance you up to $25,000. Stop. Hee-haw and Merry Christmas, Sam Wainwright.
Oh, Sam was finally good for something. You're right, and then the brother's there.
The brother's there.
The richest man in town.
When this was made, we were sandwiched between No, I guess when it was made.
This was right after World War II. This was Jimmy Stewart's first film back from the war.
Remember, no man is a failure who has friends. Love. Thanks for the wings. Love, Clarence.
What's that?
That's a Christmas present from a very dear friend of mine.
Look, Daddy, teacher says every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
That's right.
I love the speakeasy earlier when he's like, "We're giving out wings," and he's running after.
Oh man! And see, this is one of the like lines that you grow up in America knowing, right? Is every time the bell rings, an angel gets his wings. It's so cheesy and schmaltzy, and I'd seen that little clip, and I'm like, oh, there's no way this is so stupid, and I am crying right now.
It's all
because
contextual.
It's so good.
It's so beautiful, and this film, it sticks around because one thing that's universal across generations is hardship, is crappy times, is dreams unfulfilled, is wishes that go unanswered, and that will always be relevant. And so what speaks to me so strongly is George's integrity comes back to him.
Yeah.
Right? His kindness, his love for others comes back to him. And I can think of no more powerful message for this extremely divisive year that we've had, and for this extremely trying year that we've had, than, as cliche and cheesy as it's going to sound, I'm about to say, it's true. When we look out for each other, we're going to be okay.
Yeah, and
you're a beautiful man. Look at you.
I was blown away by how much I love this film. You're absolutely right. I think this can serve as a model for how we can behave during trying times. Obviously, this year has been very trying for very many people.
Yeah.
Just love each other, take care of each other. Go ring some bells.
Yeah.
Angels need their wings, man.
We at Cinema Therapy want to wish you a very happy New Year. If you still haven't seen this film, you can rent it from the link below. You can catch us on our socials.
At @therapy_cinema on Twitter and Instagram. You can also find us on Facebook.
So until next time, every time a bell rings,
I'm going to do some passionate necking.
No.
And watch movies. It's true, though. Every time a bell rings, me and the wife, snogging.
Oh my gosh. Snogging? Was that a Harry Potter reference?
It's just a British reference. You snog.